This conference will now be recorded.
You didn't really throw me under the bus. You're right, I wouldn't be upset. But I had to say, yeah. I'd be mad. I had to use you.
Had to use me.
Because I'm such an ogre.
Yeah, I can barely hear you guys. I'm here.
Please don't yell at me. She makes us cry every day.
So.
Your mic is open.
Things started.
Rockford.
Things differently.
I'm sorry, I can't hear. Are you talking to me, Steve?
Yes, your microphone is on.
You guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You hear us okay, Maggie?
Not really.
Okay, we're hearing a lot of background noise too with you.
Okay, I'll mute myself then.
Okay. Let's see. Let's have to speak up. So Maggie can hear us. Are we rolling? This is the meeting of the Davenport Public Library Board of Trustees for Tuesday, July 20th, 2001. We are meeting in the large meeting room of the main library. My name is Steve Emming, Board President. First item on our agenda today is roll call. So we'll do that so we can identify who all is here. Craig Cooper?
Yes.
Amanda Motto? Let's see your name.
She's not gonna attend today.
Oh, okay, sorry. Missed that. Joe Heinrichs?
Here.
Malavika Shukande?
Here.
Thank you. Judy Lance?
Here.
Sylvia Roba?
Here.
Tom Engelman? Here. Maggie Motto?
Here.
Thank you. And Steve Emming, I'm here. Okay. So we have a quorum and we'll continue on with our agenda. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move, Steve.
Thank you, Malavika.
Second.
Second. Thank you, Tom. Have a second. Okay, have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing and seeing none, call for the vote. Craig?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Malavika?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Sylvia?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Maggie?
Yes.
Thank you. And my own vote is yes, the motion carries. Next item on our agenda is public with comment. Oh, yes. We have a person who wants to comment or just attending the meeting. Okay. That's fine then. Okay, so we have no one who wants to make public comment, so we'll continue on. Next item on the agenda is reports. First item there is Friends. Jerry. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we continue, let me circle back again. I have a problem with the method of doing this or not doing it. Also present from the library staff, we have Amy Grosskopf, Director, Lexi Reiling, Assistant Director, Jennifer Williams, HR Operations Manager, Tracy Moore, Development Director, Brittany Peacock, Community Outreach Manager, and Jerry Skalak, the Friends Board President. Okay. So with that taken care of, we'll move on. Back to the agenda. The next item is reports, and the first item there is Friends. Back to you, Jerry.
Okay, well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and this is my first meeting of attending the board as the president of the Friends of Davenport Public Library Group, so I appreciate this opportunity. Again, I know Amy usually provides some of the friends, if not all the friends reporting, so I may defer to her on a couple more notes. I just got a couple items I thought I'd bring to the board. One thing we have been working on in the Friends, in conjunction with Amy, is trying to try to focus some of the funding opportunities that Friends supports and seems like early literacy is kind of still the area that we are most committed to as far as at least some of the future funding potentials. We did have a financial status update provided by our financial management firm at our last meeting, and the group's in very good shape. Actually, been a good year, all things considered, financially. Of course, quite a few of the Friends dollars are pre-committed to certain programs and projects, but we're still sitting at almost $2.5 million in total assets. And one of the comments I did make there myself, that of course the purpose of the Friends is not to just accumulate funds. So I do want to be fairly proactive on trying to identify some places to maybe put a little more of that money to work for the good of the library. Of course, right now with all sorts of moving parts as far as funding from COVID-related monies and everything else, it's maybe easier said than done. I don't think we'd ever say that. And probably last but not least, though, what I've got, I did express some interest certainly in the potential community center project that's being proposed or maybe going forward. I'm not quite sure if I'm saying that correctly. So with that, maybe I'll turn to Amy if there's anything else I should be saying or shouldn't have said, but, you know.
I think the only thing I might add is that the Friends Board had 2 recent resignations. So the minimum number of board members is, by their bylaws, is 8, and we're sitting at 9 right now. So if you know of people who you think might be really good Friends Board members, please have them get in contact with me or with Jerry, and we can let them know what's involved with that, things like that. This is a great opportunity for somebody who doesn't live within the city of Davenport to become involved in a library. You know, we do have some Friends members who are not Davenport residents because there's not a residency requirement like there is for the Board of Trustees. So that opens up the field a little bit more. So we'd be happy to talk with anybody who might be interested in serving on the Friends Board.
Amy, what time are the meetings of the Friends?
First.
The second Tuesday of the month at noon.
At noon. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
If you're at the library.
At the library. Okay.
Thank you, Jerry. Amy? Next item on the reports are committee reports. First item there is finance. Anything from finance?
Well, if you had looked at your budget recap, you know, that was the whole year, 100%. And so the amount spent was under 100%, which is a good thing. And so, you know, we still have almost $1 million left in the levy balance. So there still is some room there if there are capital needs that we need to address.
Thank you, Tom. Next item is personnel. Greg, anything going on with the personnel committee? Okay. No,
Nothing to report.
okay, thank you. Malavika, advocacy.
Something interesting to share. First is thank you, Lexi, for the DEI, diversity, equity, inclusivity committee meetings that we've been having, and there have been so much of momentum, people having ideas, and the next step we have decided that now we have to put those ideas into momentum, into activity. So each one of us had something or the other, different facets of DEI to share. So we had our first subcommittee meeting. I am a part of the subcommittee where we talk about community relationships and things like that. So myself and another librarian from the library bill, we both had approached a few nonprofits who are really interested in doing nonprofits and for-profits, like realtors, who are interested in working with us, providing information. Like, for example, a realtor would like to give out a little flyer saying, here is your Denver Public Library, and these other times you can be a member, and that kind of stuff. So we exchanged that information with outreach department, and they had some excellent ideas that they are going to put together after we shared what we had to share. So, it's so beautifully positive that, we're trying to reach these little pockets where people some do not even know what all we do. So it was nice to reach out those pockets. I have a request to you all, and I know that each one of you here work with somebody or the other, some organization, maybe a nonprofit, for-profit too, and if you have, if you can share names where we can get in touch with, because I am sure that there will be some kind of an outreach program that we can do in some way or the other. I'm sure about that. So I would just have a request, like, if you don't mind sharing any contacts that you have, if you could send me an email, if you don't mind, text, or whatever is convenient, I would sincerely appreciate to pass it on to our committee, because each one is really doing marvelous there. So and I think our next meeting is July 28th, which is next week. We'll be meeting, and it's really been nice to see what all the committee and the committee members are doing. So that was fun. Yep.
Thank you, Malvika. Next item under reports, director's report. Amy?
Okay, just a few things to either expand or update on what I sent. The interior plans are supposed to be coming at 2 o'clock this afternoon, so we're excited to see that. So 4 large columns of some variety that I can't quite remember. I indicated the second floor public restrooms opened for use last week, and it actually happened yesterday, but they are open.
We now have doors.
They have doors, and there's locks and hardware on the doors and all kinds of exciting things like that. So finally, we have the new public restrooms available. There are we have signed contracts for the masonry repair work at the Fairmont branch. They are supposed to start. Did we get a start date from them, Casey? Early August.
Yeah.
So we will see how that happens. So if you see, scaffolding and folks working there, that's what they're doing. They're fixing the expansion joints, which have deteriorated, and we were concerned about water damage behind the stone. And then also doing some tuck pointing and repairing or replacing caulk around the windows. So we should have a watertight building envelope there. And then just a little bit of a early notice for items for the meeting next month. So a few things that came up that we're going to need approval on in August, and normally we would have a session where we would discuss those things and then vote the next time. So Rivershare, our consortium, they want to move forward consortium-wide with making young adult materials fine-free. So we have our juvenile materials are fine-free. They would like to move ahead and expand that to the young adult materials. So that's in board policy, so we'll need approval for that. Sort of related, but something that's more procedural in our circulation process is that we're also going to be implementing an auto renewal option. So if you happen to be like on the date that an item is due, it's going to automatically renew for you if it's eligible for renewal. So if there's a hold on it, it's not eligible for renewal, it's already been renewed, those stops will still be there, but otherwise it will automatically renew, and then that gives the patron extra chance to return that item without getting fined on it, right? So many other libraries have instituted this, and their patrons love it. So, but I did want you to know that this also has some implications for us in our statistics. So our state library report, we count a patron initiated renewal as a circulation count, right? Because circulation numbers are one thing that we report. The state library will not let us count auto renewals. So we'll see probably some drop in circulation because of that.
Does it just keep automatically renewing until the book comes back, or?
No, so you only get one renewal, so it only happened once.
Can't go on.
Right, and then like I said, if it's something that has a hold on it, normally you wouldn't be able to renew that anyhow, right? So it won't auto renew those items either. So, but there's a notification that will come to patrons that say, you know, of these items that were due, these 2 were auto-renewed, this one can't be renewed, kind of thing. So hopefully that communication will be fairly clear, though I imagine it will be confusing to people for a while, so.
Question.
Mhm.
Are people told up front when they take something out that that one has a hold on it, so therefore it has to come back?
We don't do that because we don't know, because somebody could put a hold on while the person has it.
Okay. So they may not necessarily know that they took something out that now has a hold on it.
Correct.
They would find that out.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, they either find, right now they find that out when they try to renew it,
okay.
or now they'll find out either the same way, because people will still renew things because they're used to doing that, or through the auto renewal notification. So like I said, this will have probably cause a drop in the number of circulations that we report to the state library. But I mean, COVID has messed with all of our statistics so badly anyhow, that if we're gonna make a big change, this is probably the time to do it. So, because, you know, everything has just been up and down and up again and down again, just because of COVID and our various closures, things like that. So, and then the next thing that will be on the August agenda is, believe it or not, fiscal 2022 budget season has arrived. So the library's business plan we just got those, and we'll be taking a look at things that we think we might need to update on that, updating the statistics in that. And then it will be on the agenda for the board to approve on the 17th. The city wants those back on the 15th. We asked if we could have a couple extra days dispensation so that the board could formally approve that. So as soon as we have a draft available, we'll get it sent to you if you feel you want to look at it ahead of time before the regular packet comes out. So there aren't a lot of changes, but there are some in the long range goals or short range goals. So. And I think that's it, unless anybody has any questions.
Are Tom and I supposed to be part of that, or?
Sorry.
Oh, the business plan, the finance committee has not traditionally been part of that.
Maybe this is wonderful. We might be getting live podcasting equipment. The techno library. I mean, that is so much. I mean, even the high schools and the middle schools are talking about podcasting and doing podcasts. So this is wonderful.
So yeah, so that equipment, the podcasting won't be something that people can check out.
Okay.
And we'll look in terms of the maker area if we think we can like either make it available for people to use in-house or not. But it's like Brittany's kind of involved in that. It's like $2,500, wasn't it? So yeah, we don't feel really great about having somebody check out something with that kind of financial obligation attached to it. So they can come here and hopefully use it. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Amy. Next item on the agenda is council liaison. Marion is not in attendance.
She did give me a few
Oh, I'm
updates
sorry.
though. So she wrote that during the current council cycle, they'll be voting on a blanket approval for the ARPA list selected by the council. She says she doesn't know how much discussion or debate there will be. She's not anticipating a lot of changes, but that's just based on the reception by council at recent meetings. They will also be voting on a memorandum of understanding for the community-based youth assessment center, which is not the juvenile detention center the county is talking about. As the details and programs for each of the areas that approved under ARPA are built out, they will be voting on the financial allocations individually, as they do with all the projects over $50,000. So what that means is they'll do a blanket approval of the list, and which I have here, and for all the projects, but then say for the Fairmont Community Center, which is on the list, once we go out for bid for that, or we look for an architect, So that individual amount is over $50,000. The council will vote on that item individually. And then once bids are out and we have a contractor, then the council will vote to accept that individually. So they will be doing that on all of these projects. Mostly these are capital projects. And a large part of it is the West Locust Sewer connectivity. That's about 14 million. There's some flood mitigation work, some of the early flood mitigation work, the underground, the sewer things that they need to look at. And there's some funding for the riverfront, the playgrounds and some of that they were looking to build out. But we're on the list for the Fairmont Library Community Center, a library social worker funded for 3 years, and the pre-K literacy initiative to be funded for 3 years. The summer reading program, which was I think 106,000, was not funded. So. But like Jerry says, the Friends have money. So.
Oh, that sounds good. Thank you, Amy, for Marion. Next item on our agenda is new business. And the first item there is discussion of the process and timeline for the library director search.
And I have not gotten any information from Bradbury on their proposed timeline. So I don't have anything to share with you on that.
Okay. I would get it at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Probably. Or it might be there now, who knows?
Okay. Next item on the agenda then is a motion to approve the proposed library projects to be funded by the city ARPA funds. And
So those items were in a document that was sent out in the packet.
yes,
So those 3. So it would be the 3 that are there. So we wouldn't be including the summer reading program.
it's also
That's not
in
funded.
it's also in the folder on the back of the directory. And just I had to think about it, but ARPA is American Rescue Plan
And
Act
Mhm.
funds, part of the pandemic rescue funding. Okay. So
Maybe it looks like you can't go to 5,000 square feet for an addition out there. You mentioned that.
We're not sure.
Yeah.
So we would need to get the architect to really take a look at it to see if we can.
Behind the building.
It'll be on the
behind the building.
north, kind of the northwest side of the building there, towards the creek. And without them drawing it out, we're just not sure how much space we'll have there, because we don't want to go back too far and cover up the windows in the reading areas of the library, right? Because right now we have all the windows across the back, but there are also some windows on the creek side of the building. So we don't want to lose that daylight space in there, or we have to lose some, not too much of it.
Could just need to be procedural, but need a motion. Got a motion to approve.
I make
these
a
and we'll
motion
have
to
our
approve
discussion.
the list of projects.
Okay. Let's see, and that's just the first 3, correct?
Yeah, it wasn't time for discussion yet.
No, it's okay. It's good. But I didn't want to interrupt it. It was okay. But that's just the items we're talking about now do not include the summer reading program.
Correct.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. Who made the motion? Tom. Thank you.
Tom.
Okay. Good. So I have a motion and a second to approve the projects to be funded by the city ARPA funds, which are the 4 that were listed, excluding the summer reading program. And I guess just for the record, those are the early literacy initiative, hiring a social worker for the library, and in addition to the Fairmont Library to provide a community center. Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Tom?
Could I just on the Fairmont branch potential addition, didn't we, a few years ago, approve trees?
The food forest.
Food for
Yeah.
food forest.
So that, hopefully, we're not gonna infringe upon that.
Right, that's on the back side of the library.
Okay.
Yep, so we wouldn't be getting in there. And I heard today that I think they got some apples, peaches, they got a few things at any rate right now. Those trees are, last year they had like one apple and one peach, and I think they have a few more this year, so it's, so now the trees are, some of them might be 3 years old by now, so we'll start to see a little bit more of that. So for Craig, for your question, we initially looked at probably something about 3,000 square feet. The Parks Director was hoping that we could go as high as 5,000 and add some gym space. And so when we got the estimates from Leggett, I had asked them for an estimate on a 3,000 square foot addition and some changes to the meeting room space. And, but I I could do the math and get a square foot cost. So I just took that square foot cost and put it up for 5,000 square feet to see what that number would be. And then since we're going to be doing this in a couple of years and we would be remodeling an existing building and you never know what's going to happen there, then I added a little bit of extra cushion in there. So the 2.2 million will fund 5,000 square feet. If we don't have the space for that, then we wouldn't spend as much money. But I wanted to make sure we were funded for what we think might be the maximum we can do. But yeah, the architect thinks that might be a little dicey to get that big a space in there.
That neighborhood could certainly use a small gym, but the library staff wouldn't run it, somebody else.
Yeah, so Parks Department has said that they could staff the space. There is a lot of discussion that the board will be involved in as this gets going, because we don't even have a real clear definition of what we all think a community center is, right? So I had a little conversation with Alderman Dunn at Party in the Park, and the council has an idea of what they think a community center is and how that would run. So so that's really going to be the first thing we need to do is, get everybody in the same room and get some ideas on that. We're going to be doing some surveying for the strategic plan, and we're going to ask some questions about services, that if there was a community center at Fairmont, what services would people find most valuable and what would they use? And then at the Fairmont Block Party and potentially the Fairmont Movie Night, we're going to be doing some of that surveying as well, so we can hopefully hear from the neighborhood about the things that they feel would be most important to them. So gather all that information.
I would really recommend that we use focus groups for the neighbors.
Okay.
Let them get in a room and talk rather than filling out a survey. It would be very expensive to do that, hire somebody to do that.
And some of that, since that's so closely focused, we might be able to do some of that ourselves too.
Good, yeah. I think it would be really beneficial.
Yeah, because we certainly want to include the neighbors in that, because that's why we're doing it, right? So that's the purpose, is to provide services in that area that, because that whole area is just really pretty underserved in terms of that kind of access to services.
When's their movie night?
Movie night is July 30th.
Maybe just, this is just a parallel to what we were talking, it doesn't match our discussion at all, but the thought comes is, I think, is it Rock Island and YMCA, Rock Island Public Library and YMCA now together? Or is it Moline or Rock Island?
It's Rock Island.
Rock Island.
Yeah.
So, and as I said, it's not a parallel, like in the sense, but there is a gym and there is the library which are within. So is it something that, we could not observe, think, and, check out what those guys are doing, just for thought purposes, thinking purposes is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because I really want to go and see what's happening, there. So that was one that I wanted to bring out. And this is just a comment. All these 3 projects are just fantastic. But the second one kind of is close to my heart. That's the social worker. And I'm very happy to see that it's on the list, that we are thinking of. So thank you that it's being talked about, and we're going to go ahead with it, the social worker project.
So, and I did have some fairly extensive conversation with the library director in Rock Island about things that have worked for them, things that haven't, things to be aware of. And then I talked with the North Liberty Public Library Director because they're part of a larger community center facility in North Liberty. And the Fairmont Branch Supervisor has also been to 2 other smaller libraries in Iowa that also have attached community centers. So it's really interesting because each of these interprets community center differently. So they say, we have a community center attached to our library, and in some instances it's a public meeting room space. In some instances it's a full gym, facility with 2 swimming pools and things like that. So yeah, so it's really it's kind of interesting. So that's why I say one of the things we think we just need to do first is really figure out, what do we mean by that and what services are we going to provide. So.
Are you able to share what the city council's interpretation is right now? Did they give you any?
No, all I have is when I talked to Alderman Dunn, one thing I mentioned, he asked what my thoughts were, so I shared that, what I was envisioning was some, drop-in space for youth, especially after school hours, where it would be free, number one, and he absolutely agreed that he thought it needed to be free. And then where it would be a staffed area where there would be things like, a ping pong table or pool table or things like that, some homework assistance for kids to do, right now, at least pre-COVID, and they're starting again, kids come after school or they come in the summer. We have the public computers there for them to use, but if you've got a 12 or 13-year-old there and they're going to be there for 5 hours after school, all that time on the computers, they need more activity, right? And the library is not a place for that big muscle loud activity. So I think having another spot like that where there's some supervision where, kids can be kids would be really beneficial. So. But that's as far as the council has gone, but we certainly will need to know what their thoughts are on it too, because they will need to approve the plan and the addition, how it's going to be staffed, so.
Okay, is there any further discussion, questions from the board? Okay, seeing and hearing none. Call for the vote on the motion to approve the proposed library projects to be funded by city ARPA funds. Joe?
Yes.
Malavika?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Sylvia?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Maggie?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
And my own vote is yes, motion carries. Okay. Next item on the agenda is board training if time allows, and I declare it allows.
So Steve sent out the information about the marketing, the library marketing board trustee training that he went to. And so we thought that it would be interesting for the trustees to hear a little bit from our marketing folks about specific things that we're doing to market the library. I'm always amazed at how many of those things there are, and I probably don't know half of what they're doing on all the different various social media platforms and things like that. So without further ado, Brittany.
Yes. So I'm going to do a little bit of bragging about you. Madam Chair, my name is Maggie. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about what maybe Outreach did in 2020, and then we will talk about some of the marketing we've been doing through 2020, and then what we are planning on doing in the future. April, Outreach was working from home in March and April, and to us, the staff that was out in the community, we thought, how in the world are we going to be reaching out from working from home? So that meant that we needed to build up our social media presence. We needed to turn our in-person story times into digital virtual story times. And we needed to reach our patrons that, we didn't know if the library was closed. And then we also had 80 plus senior outreach patrons who were all in their living communities and were wondering what to do. So, our very assistant really write personal letters to each and every one of our outreach patrons that had been checked out correctly. That meant that she wrote over 50 personal letters to those patrons. And I know that seems like a lot, and it seems very time consuming, and it was, but we are still getting thank you notes from our patrons for that. In each letter, she wrote how much she appreciated their service, our library, and how they were forgotten, that they were still very important to us, and that we were really working to figure out how we were going to get back to them safely. I also, at the time, still do have a book club with senior outreach patrons, and so I would spend once a month, I would call all 9 of them, check in, what they were doing, and it was a really good thing for us too. It felt good that we were still doing a little something from home. Okay. So we in May, we got a plan. So we had the tags, logo on them, and many luggage tags. And so each month we delivered puzzle collections to our 11 facilities, and now we're up to, I believe, 13. That's grown. And with senior outreach, we do have family resources that we're delivering books to once a month or every other month, and then as well as daycare facilities or getting plastic collections. And that means that those are books, audiobooks, DVDs, really whatever patrons are needing. Facilitated through a director of the facility or activity director. But some of it has been calling each individual patron from the facility, which is time consuming, but very much worth it. And so we have increased the checkouts from 2019, we had 2,900 checkouts, and now we're up to 6,370 checkouts. So our patrons were really using this resource. Like I said, it's time consuming, but it's so really important for reaching these patrons. And next, Allison just happened one today. So we're very excited to do that. So much thanks to Logan Girls, they provided us with bags, and we actually ended up delivering 265 bags of items to our facilities last year. So that's counting in those bags. We only had one bag we had to repair in that entire time. So it's really wonderful. It's a grab and go. You pull up to the lobby, bring the books and the bags in. They have theirs ready, just swap free. Really wonderful. And able to stay as our staff are also yeah. So, our wonderful and great team. This summer, into the fall last year, to October, November. Wonderful service. And we did all we were so having fun. This is where I attended Trunk or Treat on the Arsenal in October. And this picture because I was very, very pregnant. So we wanted to keep it cute. So we had a lot of fun. We saw, I think, 250 children. It was a drive-by event, so all the children were in their costumes but in parks, and it was a really great way to connect them with their library. So that was a fun thing we got to do. Okay, so here we go. Started library CDC grant program. My goal is this picture. We were for 6 weeks, and that's really fun. Had a lot of feedback on this program. Okay, so marketing our branch now in our patrons. And new services reader skills. And myself and work with the person in our department come up with great ideas. So this year we have some reader trails, but unfortunately one of them very high and is very basic. So they way. So do more permanent option. This option is really nice. It enables us to swap out every so often. So this year's list is pictured. Pretty soon. We will receive our other location at e-learning center. We actually started this program last year. We were able to get a grant to be to years. So we're very excited, and we're also doing some of the activities. February. And we just so we are very excited. Yeah. So we're just trying to get creative and where we are around about. Okay, so new partnerships. We created as Malawi was talking. We are part of that committee for community engagement. So we're very excited for what that will become in the future. We also started a quad city-wide outreach group. So this is going to allow our outreach department to, and I'll get started that one as well, to get a better understanding of what other libraries in the quad cities are doing, and how we can better reach our patrons. We're also getting a podcast. It's going to be called the Checked In Podcast. And we'll be talking all things Davenport Public Library once a month, as well as giving some fun local history. It's gonna include some really fun topics. So look for that in the next couple of months. Okay, so we're also doing outreach. We're also promoting, making promotional materials to keep everyone in the loop. So over the last year, we've added a TikTok account with the library that is very hip, and so we have 3 members on that subcommittee are in charge of our TikTok, and we are getting some national recognition, which is pretty wonderful. We had kind of an influencer of sorts from New Orleans. He stumbled upon one of our TikToks and he did a big shout out, and so we gained quite a few reviews, and yeah, it's really neat. So Shanice was the brilliant mind behind that one, but we're very excited about that. Our Facebook has improved followers tremendously. We're averaging at least 100 new followers a month. I think that's slowed down a little bit, but at the beginning, our patrons were really interested. We had great luck with some surveys that we were sending out at the beginning of the pandemic, wanting more digital, which is great. Great stuff. So just wanted to give you a little walk down memory lane of some of the promotional materials that we had to create in the last year. So anything you see hung on the walls, it's made in-house, that's made in my apartment. So we have had to, oopsies, mistakes. So we were able to add our curbside. And this is now void. We are back to allowing patrons to renew items, everything on our self-check. This is our first soft opening that we made before the renovation. So yeah, in conclusion, 2020 was a rough year, but we're able to make the best of it. We were really able to focus more on our marketing last year, which was really great. So more colorful posters being hung, colorful, just everything. We want to bring some light in the world. So our virtual programs were a huge success. We were able to create joint circle even in the darkest of times as a library. Our library staff really came together, and it was really wonderful to see. So just want to thank you for your continued support of our library and the outreach department. We're a small mighty team, and we're just excited about all of the things that we do. We love our job. Parties, library posters, and social media is so appreciated. Like, you know, it's wonderful to say, it's all done in house, you know. And what I started doing was, as a citizen, we can post things on the explorers, yeah, and an organization to taking what the outreach does and highlighting that next door. You know, I don't expect people to know this, but hey, the library was open, you know, I'm not doing anything, I'm just, you know, doing a lot, you know, a lot is never falling. So it's, people really appreciate the way posters and all that. So, like, you can relate to it. Thank you. Thank you.
a right home delivery.
Was there no, people not taking advantage of it or?
It was run by volunteers, so it was volunteers who were doing that home delivery, and as we had some budget cuts because we did have a staff member who was kind of doing all that coordination, it just wasn't something that was really sustainable for us. Come this fall, earlier this spring, before things opened back up again, the Friends authorized us to spend an amount that I don't quite remember to do a trial of books by mail. So I think that is probably a better alternative, so people could place holds on things and then simply have it mailed to their home, as opposed to having to do that delivery. So.
We are always accepting, if they are in a facility, we're always accepting new patrons, in our retirement.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you again, Brittany. Okay, let's see. So we'll give us some time on our training for accreditation. Are we good? Okay. Next item on the agenda is old business, but there is none. Next item after that is to adjourn, but before I do that, I just wanted to share, I signed up for this Merriam-Webster word of the day. So I don't remember what the word was for today, but there also was a little thing there that said, words we don't use yet. And the first word there was biblioclept. That's a person who steals library books. Of course, they did say it's much easier just to say book thief. So, anyway, with that, I'll.
Steve, I do have something to add, if you don't mind.
No,
if you don't mind. And I was thinking about next month is alternating currents, right? August 19th is alternating currents, and we're going to take part in it, right? Maybe we'll have a little celebration, maybe, right? And I'm just checking. We have so many people around, like, Figge Art Museum, the director, and their staff, of course. Are we going to send out an invite? And what came to my mind was, if it's feasible, okay, like, if it's just a printed letter, let's say, hey, we're opening, blah, blah, new renovations, etc., and, many a times the museums have handwritten notes that come in personally, from people. So, like, let's say we are inviting somebody from the museum here, or REI down there, or Scott Community College down here, saying that alternating currents, we're taking part, come see our new library, blah, blah, blah. And if any one of us, we know people there, let's say at the museum or Putnam, and we're, and we write a little note saying, hey, Rachel, or hey, Michelle, why don't you come down? Look forward to seeing you at Alternating Currents. So I thought, I would be happy to write such little notes on it, just making it personal. And it's an indirect way of also saying, I believe, thank you, because you guys have done a lot of outreach together, Figge, Putnam, and all REI for that matter, or Scott for that matter. So it would be like being one-on-one, inviting them, though they might see it on social media, but making it personal and thinking of them. And if we do that, and if you want personalization, I'd be happy to sit and write handwritten notes saying, hey, see you there. Quite a few museums do that. And I thought of us.
He's in charge of marketing for that.
Yeah.
I'd be happy. I did around 100 once for a certain thing that I was working. I'm happy to write a few.
There's nothing else. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you, Malavika. I have a motion and a second to adjourn. I'm sure there won't be any discussion. So I'll call for the vote. Malavika,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
Sylvia,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Maggie,
Yes.
thank you. Craig
Yes.
and Joe.
Yes.
And my own vote is yes, motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I appreciate that. So,